Maddie Hale is with us.
Hello.
Hello. Maddie's official title is Talk International Presenter. I still can't quite work it out.
What do you think? It's because I present international news?
No, I think you should be Talk's American, like, correspondent.
Oh, no, because I do a lot of other stuff. I do Ukraine,
Yeah, but
Russia.
not very well. I mean,
well,
I'm just talking...
that wasn't up for debate, actually.
No, but the American stuff is you've been across
Sometimes
this...
I do British stuff.
But even when you were back home in Oz, you used to do the American stuff, right? This is an area that you are very familiar with. You're right across it. You know the hill, and you know all that goes with it.
I know Capitol Hill.
Yeah, you know all that goes with it.
That is true, and...
Can I just pick up on something? And I don't think you'll mind me saying this on air.
Is it what I look like?
No, what you look like. Yeah. I can sum that up in 2 words. Listen,
beautiful girl.
Yeah, very beautiful. No, the conversation we were having before we came on air, we were talking about Australia Day.
Oh, yeah.
Obviously, you're from Oz. Adam, our producer, is from Oz. And literally, officially, I didn't know this, 93.7% of this building are actually from Australia.
Oh,
Official
I
stat.
actually completely believed that for a second. He's lying.
It's only me and Amy that aren't. She's from the Midlands, so that doesn't...
I think it would probably be around 8%.
I think it's high, yeah, it's high. Anyway, that's great.
Yeah.
No, the point was, you were saying that you don't... In Australia, and the reason I felt an understanding of this, because England doesn't celebrate St George's Day very much. Australia Day, which comes up... What is the date of Australia Day?
The 26th of January.
26th of January.
And you, of course, know that my birthday is the 25th of January.
Right, 26th of January... it comes up in my diary, Australia Day.
Yeah.
So it's significant enough to be, like, defaulted into the kind of...
always significant.
But you're saying it doesn't get celebrated.
Like
St Patrick's Day gets celebrated in England, but St George's Day doesn't. And that's weird, right?
Australia Day is probably the ultimate example of cancel culture actually really running rife, in the sense that it has been very successful in cancelling it out. So Australia Day, in some people would call it Invasion Day, because it's obviously the day that Captain Cook landed in Australia.
He's a great guy.
And invaded and killed...
Cookie.
Many
well, obviously not the killing bit.
Native Aboriginal Australians. So it's obviously not a day to be celebrated in some circles.
Yeah, but there's a lot of things you could argue that, like the war, World War II ending. I mean, on the same day it ended, like, I don't know how many people died on that day. But the point I'm making is that this seems to be about the sensitivities of Indigenous Australians. I can't remember what the new term for that is. There is
Indigenous Australians, yeah.
Isn't there another term that's been...
No, it's...
First Nations.
Oh, First Nation people,
yeah.
First Nations people.
So that seems to be what it's about. You said there's a pub chain of about 200 bars that have just cancelled what they would normally do.
Yeah, which Adam, your producer, told me, which the reason why I'm not reacting to that is because it's just, I haven't been to a pub in years that celebrates Australia Day, because when I was a teenager, it's a day off school because it's a public holiday. So you're going to parties, you're doing barbecues, you're doing everything, and then slowly it did feel like the last 10...
It's on a Sunday this year.
Yeah,
you get the Monday off school.
Yeah, you would. You would. You'd always come back. You'd have 10, 15... The last 10 to 15 years, it's slowly become such an ostracised day that, like, if you celebrate this, if you put up... paraphernalia, if you put up anything like a flag, you'll be completely ostracised for it.
What? That's sort of messed up. Well,
because it was the day they invaded Australia. The argument, Ian, is to change the date. The argument is, let's have a day to mourn what was lost on that day, which would be January 26th.
Okay.
And then let's have another day for Australia Day where we celebrate the country that we now are.
Just remind us of the date that this happened. If you, sorry to
17 something, 17, 15. Wait, was that right?
5:15.
Is that right, Adam? God.
1788.
Well, we were close.
Ready?
That is horrible for me, but...
Okay, no, I wasn't trying to put you on the spot. The reason I was making that point is because I bet you all the people that are claiming, we don't celebrate this because of what happened, I bet they still take the day off. I bet they don't go to work that day and go, oh, I'm not going to go, and, I've
No, a lot of people, so the other thing is a lot of workplaces will say, oh, you can work on Australia Day and we'll give you a day in lieu every now and then if you're not...
Oh, so that's almost like doubling up on the,
Well, it's just that you don't... I mean, I've obviously always...
Well, you can do that here, can't you? You can work on a bank holiday and you get a day in lieu.
Yeah, of course.
But what I'm saying is I bet you most of the people that are advocating to ban this would still take the day off.
Well, maybe, and
because that's how that kind of thinking works. And, of course, nobody's going to celebrate anyone that was, you know, that died in the name of anything. That's not the point, is it? But you can celebrate it. I mean, things take on different resonances over the years, right?
Of course, but you can imagine there would be
Isn't Australia Day, to me, is Australia, and I've been in Australia on Australia Day, and I don't really recall doing anything particular that day because I spent a lot of time in bars. So it would have just been a normal day. Would have been a normal day for me. You were going to
say in bed, and I was like, ooh.
Did a bit of that too, but sleeping mostly. But there's a lot to celebrate in Australia, is my point. There's an awful lot to celebrate.
Look, I'm of the belief that I think it's ridiculous that we haven't fixed this issue, as in the sense that I'm sick of not celebrating the country I'm from. Everyone would feel that way, whether you're Indigenous, whether you're white, whether you're Asian, Australian, whatever you are, everyone in Australia wants to celebrate Australia Day. Why should we not have our own 4th of July? That's ridiculous.
I agree.
It's just that a lot of people do not think it should be celebrated on a day that's
26th of January.
Yes.
So because it's that day, everyone's gone, ooh.
Yeah, which I agree. I don't care. If it's insensitive to some people, you know.
Do you know, if Australia was nearer, I would move there in a heartbeat. I think they should move Australia to just take over France, Germany, Italy, well, most of Europe, actually.
Well, that's the end of NATO, isn't it?
And just stick it in Europe. It's the only country I've ever gone to, and spent some time there, where I thought I could live here.
Oh, really?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh,
every day of the week. I love loads of countries in Europe. I love United States. I was there in the summer, like all of that. Australia's the only place I've thought I could live here.
That's how I felt.
I like this place.
That's how I felt about Austin, Texas.
Is it?
Yeah. I felt I could live here, or Nashville.
As a cowboy?
Yeah, as a cowgirl.
You've gone for all those sort of yee-haw places, haven't you?
Yeah, I love country music.
Well, it brings us on to talking of the United States.
It was a good segue because we started there on a topic that was...
I know. We weren't meant to talk about that.
I wasn't privy to it all,
I was interested in it because of the response, because we talk about that kind of stuff here, right? I mean,
you will be speaking
things
about a lot.
being cancelled, and you can't celebrate this because of these 7 people are going to be...
OK, that's a stretch.
Are going to be offended by it. Let's talk about America then. Joe Biden has pardoned his son Hunter, who was about to be... Talk us through this.
Yeah.
What's he done wrong?
Okay.
What was he due to get in terms of punishment? And what did his daddy, the president, do?
OK, and this is a long, twisted road that I'm going to...
Can you do us an abridged version,
I'm going to take
since
you
we've
down.
used all the time up on more crucial matters?
Why do you always do this to me? We start the segment with something completely irrelevant. OK, so... It's a long, twisted road that's been going on since 2018, right? Yep. A federal investigation was launched out of the state of Delaware into Hunter Biden's potential tax crimes, money laundering, and lying on a federal form when he bought a gun. So he exposed himself by writing his own memoir.
Sorry?
Yeah, exposed himself as a drug user.
Oh, sorry. I thought that was another. I thought that was another offence. I was going to say that's on the laptop.
He wrote a memoir called, I think, Beautiful Things. Basically exposed that he was a heavy drug user in the years like 2017, 2018. That's when he bought the gun. So he kind of exposed himself as committing a federal felony, but when you basically sign off to buy a gun and you say, I'm not a drug user, and he bought a gun. Anyway, that aside, this investigation was going on for a while. It took a really long time. It took about 5 to 6 years, which was longer than, it had been anticipated. The Hunter Biden laptop was dropped. Various other things come into play. We finally get to 2024 and it comes to light, OK, they've reached a decision. Hunter pleads guilty to his tax crimes. He says, yes, I didn't pay taxes from the years 2016 to 2019. I'm sorry. I was a heavy drug user at that time. I forgot to pay. That's on me. I've now paid my taxes. I've paid them back. He then says, so then he's meant to face sentencing this month in December. He then gets found guilty of lying on this gun form. Now, that gun charge, you can be sentenced to up to 25 years for that. He would never have gotten that. So he's got 2 separate cases against him that he could have accumulated to a few years in jail. He never would have gotten the max. We already know that. But we don't know what he would have gotten.
But he would have gone to jail.
He potentially. He would have been... The average person, yes, probably would have gone to jail. We do know that. The problem is that Joe Biden has said he was never going to pardon his son of these crimes. What look does that say, I'm Joe Biden, I'm just finished a bit of a tumultuous 4 years. I'm not going to pardon my son because that interferes with the role of justice.
Can we have a listen to Biden kind of talking on this very point? Here's the man who's still the current president, how he's explaining what he won't do for his son.
I'm extremely proud of my son, Hunter. He has overcome an addiction. He's one of the brightest, most decent men I know, and I am satisfied that I'm not going to do anything. I said I abide by the jury decision, and I will do that, and I will not pardon him.
Okay.
I mean, that's unequivocal stuff. That was just in June.
So that was in June, and then not even just that, but his press secretary has on multiple occasions reiterated he's not going to pardon his son. Now, the reason why this is controversial is because you obviously have the Democratic Party saying that Donald Trump, you know, was, how do I explain this, you know, was really bad when it comes to democracy, when it comes to January 6th. He had a really bad role in kind of perverting the role of the Justice Department. But this whole thing has been quite controversial because he's pardoned him for a 10-year period. He said from the years 2014 to 2024, any kind of crime that he's committed, I'm pardoning him. Now, people are thinking, why 10 years? What was he doing that time? Because these years, these tax years are 2016 to 2019. The reason actually being is because various whistleblowers from the IRS actually said that Hunter Biden didn't pay taxes for the years 2014 to 2015. Right. But because the investigation was so slow-walked, the statute of limitations on those years was left to expire. So there's about $145,000 US that Hunter Biden never paid taxes from.
Got it.
But they were left to expire, and that kind of slipped under the cracks, and he wasn't then prosecuted for those years.
So if anybody wanted to bring it up again, now they can't because he's got a pardon, and it includes those years.
Which means in the House Oversight Committee hearing, basically, one of the IRS whistleblowers was said, okay, so Hunter Biden could actually just voluntarily pay $145,000 worth of taxes to the IRS.
Yeah.
He has the ability to do that.
So it almost as a goodwill gesture.
Yes, to say, I'm sorry, I'm an American, I should pay taxes like every other Joe Blow.
My dad's a squillionaire.
Except I'm not going to do that.
That would have been a good PR point to finish on.
Exactly.
I think one of Biden's points is that I think you touched on it there, when Trump comes in, yes, Trump's going to be quite liberal and loose around the criminality of some people around him, but for his enemies, he'll throw the book at them.
And what political ammunition has Joe Biden just given to Donald Trump? He's given him so much. Because
100%.
Throughout the entire campaign, Joe Biden's campaign promise from even 2022 was Donald Trump is bad for democracy. He's a threat for democracy.
But it is in the gift of a president to do this.
Of course, and Donald Trump's done it. Donald Trump pardoned his son-in-law, Jared Kushner's father from tax crimes as well. But I think he did face jail time. But you know,
but it's
Would you do this as a father? Probably yes. Anyone would.
Well, yeah, but the idea that system has that available to them. That one of the perks, if you like, of being the president is that you can pardon your mates. I mean, I find that extraordinary.
It is insane.
And
you know what it is? It's just, Ian, it's the rich getting richer and the powerful getting more power.
Yeah.
You can just avoid anything, can't you? And
if you've got the
ins.
Spondonics.
But this is the whole reason why, you know, why people have said it's a two-tier justice system.
Well, that sounds pretty two-tier to me.
Yes, exactly.
More so than here.
Oh.
Maddie, we're done.
Oh, bye.
Not forever. We'll speak to you next week. Maddie Hale with us here on talkTV.